Yeah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما إنا جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقا قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم. سورة الفاتحة.
أفلح من صلي على محمد وآل محمد. أباس أباس يا أبو الفضل الأباس أباس أباس يا أبو الفضل الأباس सकाए हरम रख लेना भरम हम दर पे तुम्हारे आए हैं सकाए हरम रख लेना भरम हम दर पे तुम्हारे आए हैं अब्बास अब्बास या अबू بھی نہیں ہم کو ٹھکرانا، تم بھی نہیں ہم کو ٹھکرانا، ہم دنیا کے ٹھکرائے ہیں عباس عباس، یا ابو الفضل العباس، سقائے حرم جمیعاً رکھ لینا بھرم، ہم آئے ہیں سقائے حرم، اب سارے سہارے ٹوٹ چکے، ہمیں اپنے پرائے لوٹ چکے، اب سارے سہارے ٹوٹ چکے، ہمیں اپنے پرائے لوٹ چکے، تم اپنی پناہ ہو میں لے لو، تم اپنی پناہ ہو میں لے لو، ہم رن سے بہت گھبرائے ہیں، سقائے حرم رکھ لینا بھرم، ہم در پہ تمہارے ہے سقائے حرم، all together رکھ لینا بھرم، اشکوں کی زباں پہچانتے ہو، جو دل میں ہے وہ بھی جانتے ہو، اشکوں کی زباں پہچانتے ہو، جو دل میں ہے وہ بھی جانتے ہو، ہم کہہ نہیں سکتے تم سن لو، ہم کہہ نہیں سکتے تم سن لو، بس ہاتھوں کو پھیلائے ہے سقائے حرم، مولا تم باب حوائج ہو، روزے پہ انہیں بھی بلوا لو، مولا تم باب حوائج ہو، روزے پہ انہیں بھی بلوا لو، غربت کے سبب جو آ نہ سکے، غربت کے سبب جو آ نہ سکے، ہم ان کے عریضے لائے ہیں سقائے حرم، ہم در پہ تمہارے آئے ہیں سقائے حرم، رکھ لینا بھرم، ہم در پہ جو نام تمہارا لیتا ہے اللہ بھی اس کو دیتا ہے، جو نام تمہارا لیتا ہے اللہ بھی اس کو دیتا ہے، خیرات بریدہ شانوں کی لینے کے لیے ہم آئے ہیں سقائے حرم، رکھ لینا بھرم ہم در پہ تمہارے آئے ہیں سقائے حرم کھا کھا کے تماچے روتی ہے زندان کی خاک پہ سوتی ہے کھا کھا کے تماچے روتی ہے زندان کی خاک پہ سوتی ہے بجھ جائے پیاس سکینہ کی ہم آنکھ میں آنسو لائے ہیں سقائے حرم رکھ لینا بھرم ہم در پہ تمہارے آئے ہیں سقائے حرم رکھ لینا بھرم دربار سکی عباس کا تھا کچھ مانگنا تھا لازم مانگا دربار سکی عباس کا تھا کچھ مانگنا تھا لازم مانگا لیکن یہ حقیقت بھی ہے کمر ہم پرسا دینے آئے ہیں سقائے حرم رکھ لینا بھرم ہم در پہ تمہارے آئے ہیں سقائے حرم ہم در پہ تمہارے آئے ہیں عباس عباس یا ابو الفضل العباس صلی علی محمد و آل محمد Mu'mineen, salamun alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of Wessex Jamaat, our condolences to the Imam of our time and all of the Mu'mineen on the occasion of the Shahadat of our ninth Holy Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad alayhi salam. Please note, on behalf of the Al-Qisar sisters, there will be a study circle on Tuesday, the 20th of June, inshallah, from 8:30 to 9:15 p.m. for ladies only. The Zoom link, as usual, has been circulated by email. There is also an Al-Qisar sisters Youth Ayyamul Bith program, which will be taking place on Sunday, the 2nd of July, from 6 to 7 p.m. As usual, the link will be circulated by email. The Muslim Shia Ithna Ashri Jamaat of Essex will inshallah be hosting a mental health awareness day on Sunday, the 2nd of July 2023, from 1 to 4 p.m, taking place at Essex Jamaat in Chelmsford, Essex. Mu'mineen are welcome to register and participate for this event. Please kindly see the email that will be circulated over the next 24 hours, inshallah, for further details on this program. Mu'mineen, unfortunately, due to an unforeseen circumstance, Haji Mustafa Masood is not able to attend to deliver the Majlis for us this evening. However, We are very, very grateful that Sheikh Fazl Abbas has agreed to step in and deliver the Majlis for us. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Sheikh Fazl Abbas. We approached him to deliver the Majlis this evening just within the last hour or so, at a time when he was in a meeting himself. He's just finished his meeting and come straight to the center to share a majlis with us, a brief majlis, just to share a few points on this occasion of the Shahadat. Can I ask, as we welcome Sheikh for the majlis, that we do so with great appreciation through the recitation of 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
الفاتحة لأرواح المؤمنين. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والحمد حقه كما يستحقه حمدا كثيرا. الحمد لله رب العالمين الأول أولية الأولين والباقي بعد فناء العالمين. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر. آمن بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mu'minin, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the circumstance in which Sayyid Mustafa is engaged in. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them that isr and relief from that issue, inshallah. And it is a tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be able to give on this opportunity to share with you on this occasion and participate in the first Qa'dah of our beloved Imam, 9th Imam, beloved 9th Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Within this little time, I will, inshallah, endeavor to be able to share with you with regards to the fadila of the days in which we are going through, and at the same time to derive a lesson from the life of the Imam, where he is commonly known as Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the verse of Surah Al-Fajr, Surah number 89, in the first and the second verses, is taking an oath. And we know that the language of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in being able to convey a message of an extreme importance, one of the ways in drawing the attention of the people is by taking what we would say as the qasam and the oath. And in this surah, the surah begins with the oath of wal fajr, and that is the time of the dawn break. Walayalin ashar, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking that qasam and taking that oath with those 10 nights. When we look at those changes in the moments of the day and night, the phase of Fajr, that is the phase of the dawn break and the time of the change from the darkness of the night to the coming of the day, the other phase, and the phase of the night itself is one, when we look into it ourselves in a very physical state, is pointing us towards the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which unfortunately, day by day, as we become very much engaged and involved in our daily cycles, we are not able to appreciate as to what is this sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of the shifting from one stage or phase of time to the other. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He mentions these changes of the time, there is definitely a message which He is conveying, and that is not the purpose for us to go into tafsir of this ayah today. I would just like to link that these words in where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning about walayalin ashar. When we talk about wal fajr, obviously it is easily understood as that specific time of the fajr, and this is the dawn break. But when Allah is mentioning about walayalin ashar, the night, and that is the 10 nights, which are these 10 nights? So here we find that the ahadith from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, especially from the tafsir from our 6th Imam, Ja'far Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamu alayh, is mentioning to us that when it is mentioning about the oath or the qasam of the 10 nights, it is related to the first 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah. So that links us to us a point that the month of Dhul Hijjah, in addition to it enjoying an excellence from being from the Ashurul Hurum, the 4 sacred months which we have been discussing in the Jum'ah khutbah, in addition to that, the month of Dhul Hijjah, the first 10 days are a night by which so significant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen to utilize it to draw attention in taking that oath. Whilst there are other physical, effects on mankind with regards to these 10 nights or the 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah, for us to be able to benefit from the title of Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad, where specifically we look at the word taqwa, taqi, all right, related to him that he is the one who exercised that great level of taqwa, that great level of being able to strive to achieve the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and refrain from the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We find that the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt have pointed out to us 5 deeds by which we are able to at least motivate ourselves in developing the taqwa from these 10 nights, walayalin ashar, or from these first 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah. A point to note over here that though we mentioned that Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad is the highest level of taqwa, does not necessarily mean that out of all the 12 Imams, he is the only one out of that level of taqwa. No. What it is being trying to convey is that all the Imams excelled in all those titles which are there. However, in those moments of time, there were certain challenges which, as a result of that challenge and an outstanding behavior of the Imam, is the way he is linked for that title. So for example, when we talk about our 3rd Imam, Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, when he is called as a Shaheed, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Obviously, he is called a Shaheed because he is Sayyidu Shuhada, the chief of the martyrs. That does not mean that the remaining of the Imams, they also did not face death through the martyrdom as such. They also faced martyrdom through being Shahadat, but at the same time we noticed from all the levels of the Shahadat, the level or the atrocity which was carried upon Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam was such that he merits the title of becoming as Sayyid al-Shuhada over there. So this is just a point to point out with regard to the 10th Imam of the title of Taqi alayhi salam. So the 5 points which we find from the ahadith is that number 1, we find that the hadith from our 7th Imam Musa al-Kazim salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, Man sama awwala yawmin min ashr dhil hijjah. One who observes fast on the first day of the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, كتب الله له صوم 80 شهرا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will record for him as if he has fasted for 80 years. Now here we see that the status of Sawm linked to the ayah of the Quran. Why has Sawm been prescribed? A very common ayah, all of us know by heart. Can somebody help me? What is the ayah? Why has Sawm been prescribed upon us? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Again the word taqwa. Do you realize that thing? So it is not only for the month of Ramadan. There, no doubt, it is an obligatory Sawm, but that benefit of لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ fast, so that you may be able to develop that status of taqwa, is being signposted to us also in the month of Dhul Hijjah. And the benefit of fasting for that first day of the month of Dhul Hijjah is such that that person is getting the reward for those 80 years having spent the time in fasting. Then the second deed pointed out for us is again by our seventh Imam Musa al-Kadhim salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Man sama at-tis'at al-ayyam min ashr dhil hijjah. One who fasts for the 9 days of the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Recall, we are talking about walayalin ashar, those 10 nights. Based on the hadith of our sixth Imam, the tafsir, it is talking about the first 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah. And the Imam Musa al-Kadhim is pointing out to us that one who fasts for the first 9 days of those 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, Kataballahu Azza wa Jalla, Allah, the glorious and the mighty, will write for him Sawmad Dahr, as if he has fasted for his lifetime. So mu'mineen, here we see again linked fasting, taqwa, the lesson from the Imam to develop taqwa in this month of Dhul Hijjah, which we'll be observing inshallah after completing the 30 days of Dhul Qa'dah, which is going to be tomorrow, the 30th day of Dhul Qa'dah, as from Tuesday will be the first day of Dhul Hijjah, being able to strive in developing the taqwa. So the second point, or the second tool being given to us from the hadith of the Ahlul Bayt to be able to develop taqwa in regards to especially the significance of these 10 periods of the month of Dhul Hijjah is observing of the fast of the first 9 days of Dhul Hijjah. Number 3, and that is we will find that there are a number of tahleel, recitations of recitations of the dhikr where there is repetition of La ilaha illallah, recitation of the various du'as mentioned with regards to the first 10 of the Dhul Hijjah. So for example, we will find that there is one of the very common tahleel, one of the common narrations of La ilaha illallah, adadul ayyami wa duhur, that I bear witness that there is no God except Allah. And I repeat saying this La ilaha illallah a number of times, so numerous, adad al-ayyami wa duhur, like the number of days and the number of my lifetime is the number of times I am bearing witness that there is La ilaha illallah, that there is no God but Allah. Again, being able to bring about that reflection or that orientation and turning away from our different types of lifestyle, where we now focus and calibrate ourselves towards La ilaha illallah. And the effect of focusing towards La ilaha illallah is being able to develop that taqwa, where we will realize that if we are at all times guarded by La ilaha illallah, then the questions we will ask is this something which is pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Am I doing it in the ikhlas, in the sincerity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If the answers are yes for that, we will continue and perform that deed. If the answer is no, we will refrain from that deed, and that is where we talk about developing that taqwa. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The fourth deed recommended from the hadith we find is with regards to an exhortation which was given to our sixth Imam Ja'far Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. by his father, the fifth Imam. And the fifth Imam tells him, La bunayya, la tatrukna an tusalli kulla laylatin bayna al-maghribi wal-isha. The Imam is talking to him about the first 10 nights of Dhul Hijjah, and he tells him, oh my dear son, let it not be that you neglect the recitation between Maghrib and Isha. And the Imam explains to him the recitation of the two Salah, which commonly we say the Salah of Wadhannun. So the method of reciting that Salah is, we do niyyah of 2 rakat Salah, Sunnah Qurbatan in Allah, in the first rakah and the second rakah, after Suratul Fatiha, Suratul Ikhlas, and thereafter we will recite the ayah from the Quran, وَوَعَدْنَا مُوسَى ثَلَاثِينَ لَيْلَةً, which continues, and inshallah the email is going to be able to give you more details about it. And the Imam, the fifth Imam, tells his son, when he is advising him, do not neglect recitation of this prayer between Maghrib and Isha. فَإِذَا فَعَلْتَ ذَلِكَ, for if you are to do this, the benefit of recitation of this prayer, شَارَكْتَ الْحَاجَ فِي ثَوَابِهِمْ وَإِنْ لَمْ تَحُجْ, then you will share in the reward of the people who have gone for the pilgrimage, even though you may not go for pilgrimage for that year. So imagine if the 2 million people expected to go for Hajj this year, the thawab which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be recording in their a'mal for having performed that Hajj, for a person who strives between Maghrib and Isha in the first 10 nights of the month of Dhul Hijjah to recite this 2 rakah Salah wa wa'adna Musa, which might be an additional maybe 5 minutes or 6 minutes to recite, will get the thawab of having been able, or a share of the thawab of those people who have participated in the Hajj, insha'Allah. And the fifth deed, which again will take us again in developing the taqwa from the hadith of the Aimma alayhimus salam, is with regards to the 9th night and the 9th day of the month of Dhul Hijjah, which is the Laylatul Arafah, the Yawmul Arafah. Mu'mineen, we find that in plenty of hadith, especially where we find that that day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's generosity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of manifesting His kindness is one which is out of what we say bounds and showering on that day, that even the shaitan is disgraced and debased. And the plenty of hadith on this day, raise your hands none other than to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, in some hadith, for those who have missed out the night of Laylatul Qadr for their hajjah to be responded, missed out on Laylatul Bara'a, that is the 15th night of Sha'ban, for their hajjah to be responded, then here is the final opportunity before the end of the year, and that is the Laylatul Arafah and the day of Arafah. With these 5 points, again, reminding ourselves of the ayah walayalin ashar, to be able to benefit from the spiritual significance of those 10 nights or the 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah, which will insha'Allah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us that good health, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us that life insha'Allah, and the tawfiq that we may be able to participate and be able to emulate the teachings of Imam Muhammad Taqi salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi salawat. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. You will recall I mentioned that with all the Imams, they have different titles, which was most of the significant of the issue or the life which they faced in their time. With the 10th Imam Muhammad Taqi alayhi salam, again taqwa is there because he faced severe challenges in his lifetime. First of all, when we look at the life of the Imam, we find that the Imam at the age of 7, according to some riwayat, at the age of 8, according to some riwayat, at the age of 9, according to some riwayat, is when he assumed the office of Imamat. So at that very young age, in our worldly common human beings term, we call that as a young age, but we know that the Imam, who are those as mentioned in the ayah of Tathir, that they have been purified, and it cannot be considered to be the child or the age of just like an ordinary human being. But yet at that age shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing out to us that they are still capable of taking that utmost responsibility, and that is the responsibility of the wilaya and the responsibility of the hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. Now, when he is in that very young age of 8 to 9 years old, those are the times when the Abbasid rulers now try to utilize that to their advantage. And the first things which we find that we will see in the history being mentioned to us is that many a times the Imam was exposed to gatherings where the Abbasid ruler would try to send, to arrange gatherings of vain gatherings of music, vain gatherings of plenty of women and dancing being done over there, and at times even the Imam being led into very difficult and compromising situations where the women would carry out those approaches upon the Imam. But never would there be any situation whereby the expectations of the Banu Abbasid rulers would in any way be able to succeed, to be able to live out to the world that, look, this is a trap which the Imam has been fallen into it as such. So link that life of the Imam to our life today. As Shi'as, as followers of the Imam, and as on the day when we have met to give our condolence, our ta'ziyah to the Imam of our time and to the house of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, we too are in those very similar situations and circumstances, the challenges of Akhirul Zaman. Whilst we may say, but that was the Imam, and we are the human beings. Yes, that is one point. We are just ordinary human beings. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has charged us on a journey that at all times to be able to be of those who strive towards taqwa. Because we ourselves have that knowledge and we know that out of the maslahat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the greatest wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for those things which are haram for us, there is goodness, there is bliss for us, not only in this dunya and also in the akhirah. So in a situation like today, and we find that these are really challenging situations where we are exposed to all sorts of fahsha, to all sorts of indecency. And believe you me, put on the television, put on the YouTube also today, you will find that the types of ads which come into whatever clips you would follow, at times these clips can be very difficult to be able to see, that they really attract into a person being able to put into it. So here again we find that it calls upon us that to look into, as the followers of the Imam, how can we at all times be able to link with the test of these difficult situations, and that is maintain ourselves as the Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and not give in to those tests, and strive at all moments to be towards taqwa. So the Imam from that young age led the Ummah for around 17 years. At the age of 25 is when the Imam met his Shahadat by poisoning from the Abbasid ruler at that time, Mu'tasim Billah, who was known to be one of those most ruthless rulers of that time from the Banu Abbasid Caliphate. One of the hadith from the Imam again, which insha'Allah will be a tool and a gift on this day of wafat to be able to assist with regards to that concept of taqwa, and with regards to what we are mentioning about linking development, our taqwa at all times, is a very beautiful hadith which is really applicable in our lives today. Usually we find that there is a word which we utilize these days. That word has become very common, and the word is friends. It has become so common that the word friend, honestly, when I look at over the years, the word friend has actually lost its actual meaning of conveying the message or conveying the deep understanding of what is a friend. So today you will hear, I have 17 friends, I have 170 friends, I have so many followers, I have so many, what do you say, friends as such, because the word friend by itself has lost its actual meaning of what is a friend. When we look at the actual word friend, in Arabic it is conveyed to be sadiqi, my friend. Sadiqi comes from the root word of sadaqa, which is the truthfulness. So for example, when we recite Quran and finish recitation of Quran, we will normally finish with Sadaqallahu al-Aliyyul Azim. Sadaqallah, that means indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most truthful. After reciting the Quran, we bear witness that indeed Sadaqallah, that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most truthful in his speech over there. The Prophet, given the title Sadiq, relates to the truthfulness. So when we say Sadiqi, this is my friend, is to convey not the friend of the Facebook friends who just prod you, all right, or who pinch you, but we're talking about the friends which is conveyed in the actual essence, that Sadiqi, one who is truthful to himself, self-nafs, honest, authentic to himself, and one who by his company with you and I as Sadiq, with you and I as friends, we are truthful and honest to each other. So here this word Sadiq, friend, again our 10th Imam Muhammad Taqi salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. In a hadith he tells us, Iyaka wa musahabata ash-sharir. Iyaka, this tone of the word, when we look at this word Iyaka in the Quran or in the Salah, we recite it at least twice in every Salah. In which surah do we recite Iyaka? Surah Al-Fatiha. So at least every Salah, twice we recite it. Iyaka na'budu. And we recite it very smoothly. Iyaka na'budu. Now think about Iyaka. It is actually to give a very strong message. Iyaka na'budu. Nobody else, oh Allah, I am telling you, I am emphasizing to you, nobody else except Iyaka na'budu, except you is to whom I am worshipping. The way I have said, Bijo koi nahi siwai tu e Allah, however much I try to speak it in a very strong and firm and convincing tone, still I cannot convey that word depth of the word Iyaka, nothing else. So when I say nobody else except you, you can imagine how serious it is, that statement which comes. So the Imam is using this word to say Iyaka, I am telling you, beware of you, that nobody else wa musahabati sharir. So let's first look at these words and then we'll put them together so that we can bring out the meaning of the hadith. Iyaka is to convey that very strict thing. Bijo koi nahi, just you. Musahaba, a very common word, sahaba, in history we hear, isn't it? Or sahib, companion. That is why the people who were present during the time of the Prophet, who benefited from the teachings of the Prophet himself, are commonly called as the Sahaba, because they gave that company and benefited from the teachings of the Imam. So here the Imam is saying, wa musahaba is now telling us the company, companionship. What sort of companionship? Ash-sharir. Now this sharir is not Gujarati or Kutchi where we say sharir means body. This ash-sharir is Arabic word which is shar. Shar is, now we understand, even in Gujarati we say abo shararat waro che. Alright? Urdu also we say that. Alright? Sharir is here in Arabic word talking about shar, which is that deep evil. So when we convey a message ke abo shararat waro che, you can imagine much more deeper than that is what is Arabic conveying to us about how evil that person is. So the Imam is telling us, Iyaka wa musahabata ash-sharir, I am telling you, I am adjuring to you, beware, be careful, keep away from musahaba, from the company, from the friendship, from being in the presence of ash-sharir, of those type of people Who are the evil persons? What is the Imam pointing out to us over here? A very common saying, tell me who are your friends, and I will tell you what is your character. Today, when a proposal is being sent, I have gone through this time when the proposal comes from my daughter. For that persons who bring their names, I first try to find out who are their friends. Family, we know them. But even we find that the hadith tells us, find out their company. We find out who are their friends. What is the reason? Why I want to find out who are their friends? Is it because I want to find them that they are very successful in their occupation? All right? They are people who are so-called successful in their worldly life as such. There is a reason. The reason is for that is because by being in the company of the type of people is the type of behavior, is the type of nature which is going to come upon us and take upon us. All right? So here this is what the Imam is pointing out to us, that be careful. I ask you, be far away from keeping company of the sharir, the evil people. When I find out that what type of friends that person keeps, it gives me an idea of the type of nature, of the type of akhlaq, the behavior and that etiquette of this person is. And according to that is when I will take a decision whether that person is fit for my daughter or not. Because every parent would like to have the best of the friendship, the best of the sadiq for their daughters. Because at the end of the day, the husband is the best sadiq, the best partner, the best friend. Not those other type of friendship. We are not talking about the romantic marriages. All right? We are talking about that actual marriage, that friendship which was between Sayyida Fatimatu Zahra alayha salam and Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. So why is the Imam telling us, be careful, I ask you, adjure you, keep away from the company, the friendship of the evil ones, from the sharair people for that. He explains, فَإِنَّهُ كَالسَّيْفِ الْمَسْلُولِ. For these type of people who are of the evil behavior, of the evil character, they are like the people who are unsheathed swords. So just imagine if there is a sword, all right, a sword is normally not kept blunt. A sword is not kept unsharp. What is the use of that sword? It's not a walking stick. For the sword to fulfill its purpose, it has got to be sharp. Just like a knife in the kitchen, you would not keep a knife in a kitchen which is lost its sharpness. What is the use of that knife in the kitchen? If you really want to utilize that knife, it has got to be sharpened. Every day, we would sharpen the knife to cut the fruits or the vegetables or the meat. So the Imam is pointing out to us for that type of person who is a sharar, who is of that evil behavior, is like a sword which is unsheathed. That means a very sharp sword which is unsheathed. What will happen? What is that sword which is unsheathed? Yahsunu manzarahu. That sword in its appearance looks very beautiful. You know the way the sword is placed, the shining edge of it looks very beautiful, glint in its sign when it is taken to the battle over there. All right? And it attracts, this is a powerful sword over there. وَيَقْبَهُ آثَارَهُ. However, know that, however good that sword looks in front of you in that battle, which has got that shiny glint of that sharp, light reflecting over it, and just by touching it, this is the one which will do in putting off my, pursuit of fighting it out. But the Imam says, remember, وَيَقْبَهُ آثَارَهُ, its consequences are devastating. What is the consequence of a person who goes to war with a very sharp sword, which he has really shined it? All right? That means he has really sharpened it. That is why it's shining out on it. It creates, when it were to be used, the consequence of that is going to be very disastrous. And we see the consequence of that sword of Dhul Fiqar, of Mawla Amir al-Mu'minin, how it was used, and it cut down that person into two halves as such. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So, mu'mineen, this is where I would like to conclude in this mention of this hadith, where the Imam is pointing out to us, Iyaka wa musahabat al-sharir, I adjure you, remain away from taking company of the evil people. The reason Imam is explaining to us, for they will look to you just like the sword which has been sharpened and very glittering. Remember, it is going to attract you, but its consequences are going to be very evil and devastating. Link that again to the types of friends. If the selection of the friend is somebody who is attractive because we would like to be accompanied with him, nowadays we would find, as I mentioned, that the word friend has lost its weight as such, has lost its essence, that the influencers in the social media, the influencers in the various type of posts, influence us in the friendship, that even our style of dressing, our manner of being able to present, our manner at types of selection of our tastes and so on in presentation brings about an effect. And without realizing, the way the Imam has pointed out, its consequences are going to be very difficult in that it is going to cut you out like the sharp sword. So this is the final message of the taqwa for us to learn on this day of Shahada, and that is, mu'mineen, we would like to develop our taqwa in addition to carrying out the, what do we say, as the spiritual rites, the various a'mal mentioned by the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam for developing our taqwa. Allah inshallah give us the tawfiq inshallah. There is also need for us to be able to physically prepare ourselves for the taqwa. And one of the ways of being able to physically prepare for our taqwa is be very selective in the type of the friendship. For the friendship is going to have an influence, you know. Very, very simple behaviors at times you will realize that it has an influence. Take an example, a very positive example. Many a times our participation, for example, in an activity in the mosque is greatly influenced by our friends in being able to motivate and mentioning, aapne mal sutya namaz ma, aapne mal sutya masjid ma. So that is a very positive effect. Because of having that type of friendship, it gives you that positive effect of participating over it. But again, another example, all right, that if we would meet around over there and, for example, it is utilized that it is just meeting over there for the sake of meeting, but not benefit of actually participating in that salah of the Jama'ah, all right, or participating in that program itself and being somewhere else, we just met over there because there is a point over there. Remember, the consequences of that is sharpened, that we will miss out over there. So it calls upon us as friends together with each other to be able to identify, is he one who is supporting me in taqwa? Is he one who is encouraging me and being a support over there? And the truthfulness of this sadiq is to be able to talk and be able to point out. And this is a challenge of Akhirul Zaman. And I say this, mu'minin, because I also face these challenges. Many a times you will find what we will say in the world is feeling that I am left out. Think about it. If you feel that you are being left out because of the friends, when you actually mention the right thing or you are actually doing the right thing, that is a challenge for the taqwa, that is a challenge for the Shia of our times today. And this is how the world is going to go again in the Akhirul Zaman. When we hear that the number of people who will be able to hold on to the Iman is such that it is as difficult as holding the red coal into the hands over there. So fear of being left out at times, many a times we compromise and we give in over there. And this is where it comes into that moment. Be very careful of that sword. It can have very severe consequences. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, give us the tawfiq insha'Allah to be able to be of those in these moments of Akhirul Zaman. Be of those that who are truthful to each other and be able to support and lead each other towards the way of rida, and that is taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi. In the year 220 after Hijrah, as I mentioned, Mu'tasim Billah, one of the other, what we say, ruthless tyrants from the Banu Abbasid rulers at that time, carried out a most evil deed of arranging for poison to be served to the Imam. As per the wasiyah of the Imam, his burial was carried out by his son and he was buried. However, mu'mineen, when we look on the day of Ashura, we find that there is the story of a person who is also a son of the Imam. And that son of the Imam, as the day of Ashura finishes, and the night turns into the Sham-e Ghariba, and then the next day comes, he is now chained and taken on, a procession lined up with the remaining women of the day of Ashura as captives, and they are made to pass by a body of a father whose head has been chopped off from the body, a body which has been left abandoned on the sands of Karbala, where the winds are blowing sand onto that pure body over there. And the son is not able to give any form of respect or any form of final rights to the body of his father. This is the tragedy, the musibah, which was carried out on our fourth Imam, Ali Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. And likewise, we see that in the lives of the rest of the Imams, they also were different types of musibah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all that opportunity, insha'Allah, to be able to be of those who will continue in maintaining and keeping alive the azadari of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us that opportunity, insha'Allah, to be able to be of those who will be able to perform the Ziyarat of Imam Muhammad Taqi, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi.
الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا مولاتي يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعل الله الآخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا علي زين العابدين ومحمد الباقر وجعفر الصادق وموسى القاثم وعلي بن موسى الرضا وأختيك فاطمة المعصومة. السلام عليك يا محمد التقي وعلي النكي والحسن العسقري والحجة ابن الحسن القائم المنتظر المهدي. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا قابة الإيمان، السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. أجر الله تعالى فرجك وسحر الله تعالى مخرجك وظهور الأمر ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك أهوى وتمتعه